Hey guys, the hair knot is extra tight today, so it's time for me to share the story about my last Chanel. Hey guys, it's Jess from She's the Posh. Welcome back, and today I'm going to tell you the second story about how my Chanel classic flap is now gone missing. I make videos every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, so please remember to hit subscribe below and ring my bell so we can become best friends here on the internet. Okay guys, I'm finally doing my sad sit down video. If you don't know this story, I will give some highlights for it, but if you do know the story, I'll try to put timestamps so you can kind of like skip ahead and you can get to the resolution part of what ended up happening. But basically, in a nutshell, I have always been interested in different ways to make extra money, extra coin. One of the reasons I started YouTube is it was just like an experiment for me, just to see if it's something I could do to get myself out of my comfort zone. I thought it was very interesting that people becoming influencers and creating videos and making money off of YouTube and just sharing things that they like and doing reviews. Because my friends have liked my advice and my reviews and they kind of encouraged me to do it. So it's something I did. I didn't think I was going to keep doing it. And here I am 3 years later, still enjoying it because of the friends I've made and because of you guys. I really found people that are into the same things I'm into. So now like I get it. I understand why people do this stuff. And it's not necessarily to make a lot of money because you don't make a lot of money when you're a smaller YouTube like this. You do make some. Other things I've been interested in. I learned stocks on my own. I really feel like that's lacking in our school systems. Like money is so essential for life and no one ever teaches you anything about it. You know, you don't really learn about it in school, and stocks are considered a scary thing and it's only something that the rich or the super elite do, and that's not true. So I have some videos on ways I make extra money that I can share if you ever need advice or anything like that, but I do have financial planners. There are things that we can do and it's not scary like the elite rich and people try to make you think. So anytime there's something new, a new concept to make money, I do sometimes like to try it just to see, because I love all types of investments. Something that I used to do is before it blew up, especially right before the pandemic, is I used to do some reselling. I've always been really good at finding great deals and different pieces, finding things on the vintage market and things like that, great deals, and then I would flip them for a profit. So I used to sell on Poshmark, which is how I got my name, She's the Posh, is because it was a play on selling on Poshmark. I never did Poshmark videos really. So I would do reselling, and then that market kind of got way oversaturated. So every once in a while, if I saw a good deal, I would flip it to make extra money. And then I was doing YouTube. So I kind of missed making that extra coin, the extra hustle. So I always look at new ways to make money. And a company that I had reached out to me before when I first started doing YouTube and things like that, and I just never did anything with them, but it was a concept of renting out your own closet. So how many times we called our handbags investments, but they really don't make us money. And when the pandemic had happened, in 2020, I really started to think about my collection differently. I wasn't going out, I wasn't doing things. Like, what's the point of having all these items? So I did start selling some things off. I really started looking at things differently. So again, I thought about this company that had reached out to me about renting out my own closet. And I thought that's an interesting concept, to rent out items that I'm not using, especially my shoes, my heels, and things like that. That could actually make me money instead of just sitting in my closet, because right now I'm not going anywhere. So I decided last February 2021, I decided just to give it a shot, and I just started listing some of my shoes. I didn't list a lot of things, but I thought shoes, they're gonna get wear on them. I wasn't sure about doing handbags and clothing yet, but I decided to do shoes and just see how it went. How did the process go with renting? It was pretty easy. Basically, you list your items, you give it prices, and they pay for shipping. And all I had to do is I had to print everything out, the return ship. I packaged everything nicely. I gave people a little card telling them I hope they felt so beautiful. And I really loved it at first because I was making some friends there, had some regular rentals, and I was making some good money. March, April, May started coming around and I added some more things. I added some handbags on there, not my super expensive ones, but I started adding some handbags on there. I got some rentals, and then he had mentioned asking for deposits if I wanted to do my larger items. And just so you know, before I started doing any of these things, I did read their terms and conditions, and the terms and conditions said that they could take people to court if they didn't pay, that the renter is responsible for any damage. They did offer insurance just for being a member for up to $50, but that the renter would be charged the full amount, and if they don't pay, then Stylen would take them to court and all this stuff. So I always got under the impression that all of my stuff was protected. I did talk to the owners, they interviewed me, and I added some more expensive items on there. I actually knew the owners because I just started talking to them, and I ended up being one of the biggest lenders because I was starting to add more and more to the platform, and I was really good because I was making hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. And eventually I started adding more and more, and this summertime there was months where I made like $1,200-$1,300 in 1 month renting my items out, especially because, you know, I had some more expensive items like some Chanel's and different things like that. I did have some small drama that happened with it. I had earring gate, where my earrings got swapped. So I had that happen. So I ended up eating the cost of that particular item because I had made so much money from them. And I didn't want to wait fighting in court with somebody because that's what it seemed like it was going. So I'm like, I can just buy something new. I'm gonna give this person grace and just let it go. And they were banned from the site. They were a newer person. And then most of the time with rentals that would happen is people would keep my stuff way too long. I had Gucci shoes who said that she had gotten COVID and she wasn't able to leave her house to return said shoes. And this was in July. I was like, okay, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to charge her late fees. COVID happens. She sent a picture of her COVID test results. I don't know how easy that is to fake. She kept the shoes for a month and still hadn't sent them back. And she's like, I will pay all the fees that I need to pay. I'll pay for extra rentals. Like, she was communicating. And then when they went to charge her, her credit card was canceled. Like, she canceled her credit card and they're like, we need a new credit card. You canceled your credit card. And so needless to say, I never got any of those fees. I also had someone that she was taking forever and she finally shipped my shoes back, said she didn't have the packaging slip that I sent with it, so I sent her another photo of it. And then when I received the shoes late, 2 weeks late, they were thrown in a box, not wrapped up in bubble wrap, so they were just in this giant box, and all the dust bags, I don't use original dust bags or anything. It was just fashion file dust bags and bubble wrap and stuff. But I just expect some courtesy sending the things back. She did not. She was lucky there was no damage because it wasn't heels or anything. I was starting to get a little upset with Stylen. The fact that I was requesting fees, I was requesting them to pay late fees, and they were charging her card, and it said she had insufficient funds. They kept trying to charge her and nothing worked. These people were kind of getting away with this, right? I was feeling like this has happened 3 times. Renters, they are not being held accountable. There's no accountability and there's nothing we can do. They can cancel their card and there's really nothing we can do about it, is what it felt like to me. So now we get to the Chanel part, but I was making good money. From doing it from February until I stopped, which was in December. I ended up stopping into December when this first happened. I made just under $7,000. It was $6,800 and some I made for less than a year just renting out my closet. I was making a good amount of money, and I only had a few times where I had mishaps happen. Yes, you know, there was late things that happened, but when you're making good money, I got all those things returned. I just had the one earrings that didn't get through. They used like stripes, so they had a screening system and all that in place. So I really trusted that if something would happen, everything would be protected. I remember they had sent me a text message. I had asked them, I'm like, okay, do you want to send these out? Because it's your coin if something goes wrong. And in the text message, they say, I know, yes, we can do this. So always had me under the impression that they were going to cover the cost of anything that happens. Obviously, they charge the renter first. The fees thing, that was back in the beginning of fall. Hadn't got those fees yet. And I just kind of let it go because you're making good money. And I thought, okay, if it happens again, then I'll address it, kind of thing. So I was having some things that were making me a little uneasy about the platform. I had promoted it a couple times, but I was going to wait a full year before I actually did a whole video dedicated to them. But if you notice in some of my videos, I have cut them out. I've taken their website off. I no longer encourage them. I no longer talk about them. I did have a couple videos, like the earring gate video I made private because it is praising the company, and it would be hard for me to like cut them out when they're most of the video. So I just privated that because I really feel a high responsibility that if I'm recommending a company, if I no longer have faith in them, I want to make sure to take that off and not be promoting them anymore. So I really feel that high responsibility. So that's why I took them off. If you follow me Insta stories, you kind of found out when it was evolving, and it was really emotional. And now I have some kind of resolution, not really, but kind of. So I feel like comfortable telling you about that story. So basically, someone had rented out my Chanel Classic Flap. Now this Chanel Classic Flap I had gotten years ago. I had gotten it restored. I have some videos on how I got it restored. And this bag ended up costing me personally just around $1,000 of my own money, because I had traded some bags in. I bought it and it was from the outlet, so it had needed a lot of work done to it. Then I spent over $400 getting restored. So my own money, I was in this bag for about $1,000. So renting it out, I'm like, if it gets wear or something to it, I wasn't thinking about anything bad happening to it, but wear. I felt comfortable renting this Chanel out because I'm like, what, leather surgeons, they've done it before, they can fix it up if something happens to it. So that's why I wasn't thinking that anything would happen to it where it would get like lost. I'm thinking more like damage and stuff. So if you're thinking, why would you rent a Chanel out? That is why. So I rented this out to this woman. She is a military veteran. She had sent her like IDs and different things like that. She had done all the things. She had paid for the extra shipping because it's a more pricey item. So she agreed to pay for the insurance, shipping, and all that stuff. So we had all that set up, and she wanted it for New Year's. It seemed like it was right before New Year's. I made sure to ship it out even earlier because of shipping being weird. So she ended up getting it like 3 days before her actual date, but shipping was crazy during the holidays, and I just want to make sure she got it because that's the kind of person I am. I make sure they get it. So she has the item, and then it has been the day that she's supposed to ship it back, and she hadn't shipped it back. So I gave her a day or two grace because I thought, well, maybe she didn't get to go out. We've had crazy weather. But then when it was the Saturday, she was supposed to ship it back on Thursday. It was now Saturday. There was no information on it. So I sent Stylant a notice. I'm like, hey, have you heard about this yet? And then I sent her a message saying, hey, make sure you send out today or you're going to start getting late fees. I sent her an email because I have her email and everything. She never responded. And then it was finally Monday or Tuesday, and she finally responded and she said, I'm so sorry. I've been very embarrassed to talk to you, but I lost Jess's Chanel. What? She's like, I was ashamed to tell you. That's why I haven't been communicating. I'm sorry, but I'm willing to do the responsibility. Let me know. And I'm just like, how do you lose a Chanel? I was like baffled. I didn't know what happened. So basically I didn't respond. It took a few minutes. And I was like, okay, all right, this happens. She's going to replace it. She's got to pay for it, or Stylant's going to pay for it. Like, let the drama subside. So then I went ahead and I started looking up what vintage Chanel's cost, like basically what my condition was. Mine was restored. It came with the card, authenticity card, all that stuff. There wasn't any wear on the corn, all this stuff. It was completely restored. So I wanted to get something similar. So I was looking at the prices, and Chanel prices are crazy right now. And something around what I had was between about $4,700 to $6,000. So I thought, you know what? Because there is taxes and shipping and duties depending on where I would get it, $5,500. I went in the middle and I said $5,500 would cover the cost for me to replace something. Even if I have to pay a little bit more, that's fine. I'm willing to do that. So I felt like that was more than fair price. So I gave them that price of what I felt comfortable with it, or I gave her the option of buying something outright. However, I would want to pick the item. So if she wanted, I said, you might save a little bit of money there, but I would want to pick the item. I would send you a link and you could purchase it and just send it to my house. So I gave her the options. She comes back with, I can't, I appreciate those options, but I can't afford to do any of those. Can I do payments? And I was like, no. And I told Stylant, it's like, okay, I'm not comfortable with the payments because what if she just cancels her car? Like, what if she doesn't pay? Like, what has happened before? I'm not comfortable with that. So I told Stylant as much through a private thing and through text message and stuff. I do have text message and stuff. I don't think I'm going to share it. I just don't, legally and all that stuff. I don't want to get into too much drama, but I have text message from them where I tell them that I did not want to do that. And then later they tell me that they have decided to accept her terms because she's willing to pay. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So are you just going to pay me up front for it? And then you're going to accept the payments for her because I don't want to wait for payments. And he says to me, I will have to ask with our investors if we can do that per our terms. And I was like, per our terms and conditions. That flagged me to realize that they had changed their terms and conditions because that wasn't on there. And so I'm panicking, like, what do you mean per your terms? So then I go back, I look at their terms and conditions, and sure enough, they had changed them, that the person needs to pay. And if the person doesn't pay, so I have their terms and conditions here, that the lender can sue them for up to $10,000 in the state that it happened. So that would mean this was the state of Georgia, that I would personally have to use my own money, my own court fees to file, because it's very complicated doing a civil case. You have to really have a lawyer fill out your paperwork because if you don't do it just right, it doesn't work. So basically, I would have to spend even more money to sue them in court. if they don't pay or they refuse to pay. And I was just like, what? So really, I have absolutely no rights, and this girl can just walk away and she has no responsibility for it. So I was really upset about that. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then it also said it's recommended that lenders have insurance just in case something like this happens. Insurance? What are you talking about? There's no insurance for this. Like, what insurance company is going to say, hey, I'm lending out expensive bags, will you insure me? Where am I supposed to get this insurance? But if there was insurance that was needed, StyleLend should have told me about it. Like, I knew that. Like, the reason I was hurt was not necessarily because of the loss of the Chanel. It wasn't necessarily because of the money lost. It was really because I had a relationship with them. I knew the husband of the founder. He was running the company. I spoke to them. We shared pictures of our kids. I really did a lot for them. I rushed items and spent money on my own pocket. Yes, I made good money, but I really wanted to help them make their business work because I love this concept. I loved that us regular people can make some money off of our stuff just sitting on our shelves. I loved the fact that I could help make men and women feel absolutely beautiful and confident by borrowing something from mine that they wouldn't necessarily be able to afford or want to spend their money on just to feel amazing and beautiful for maybe one night or for 1 week. I just loved the idea and the concept. And I thought I knew them well. And they changed their terms and conditions and they just didn't leave me protected. They really didn't tell me. And I was so hurt by that. Because had I known that if something happened to my Chanel, had I known it was changing where I had to sue them, then I never would have had my Chanel's listed on there. I never would have rented to someone that is brand new because she was new. She was military. I don't know. I felt a certain way. You know, I wanted to make her feel beautiful. She was taking it, I thought, to New Year's because the rental was right around New Year's. And I thought she just wanted to feel beautiful and gorgeous. And this happened. But I had to accept the $500 payment. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to accept it, or I'm not going to get any money. So I wrote back that I accepted it and I told her, you know, how do you lose a Chanel? Like, you kind of got to explain this to me because I am just baffled, because in my mind, I'm thinking that she sold it and she's trying to make a profit off of it, or, you know, someone stole it or something like that. So her story, which I don't believe, I believe that the Chanel got stolen, most likely, but her story was that she was at a baby shower and she fainted at this baby shower and they had to call an ambulance and everything. And for some reason, like, her Chanel got lost in that scuffle. Like, she's like, I don't know if it was in the hospital or it went with me, or, you know, I can't doubt that someone may have taken advantage of it. But the fact is, I fainted. I went into the ambulance. I arrived at the hospital and all my stuff was gone. Wallets, all the stuff in the Chanel was gone. But she didn't know anyone at the baby shower to ask where her stuff was. And I'm just like, girl, you tell me that you fainted at a baby shower. You had nobody. Like, everybody's got an Aunt Sally. Like, I have an Aunt Sally. Everybody's got that one person that, or it would be me. If someone faints or something happens, you have that one person that's going to be like, okay, guys, where is her stuff? We got to make sure she has her insurance information, everything. What was her bag? That was her Chanel bag. Okay. Make sure she takes this with her. Okay. Okay. What coat? She came in, I think she had that beautiful blue coat because I saw it. It was gorgeous. You always have an Aunt Sally or somebody that's going to be there to make sure you get to that hospital, whether they know you or not. There's always people like that. Everybody's got that kind of family member, especially at a baby shower. And you at least knew the person the baby shower was for, so you would think that she would have sprung to action, or she would make sure her family's taking care of you. It does not make sense to me. And then she said the hospital said that if they did have the item, then it was held up in quarantine. So if it was the hospital, it was held up in quarantine. But if it was a shower, she's not sure what happened. She's getting lists of numbers of people to call and ask about it. But she said she feels weird because she feels like she's accusing people. I'm like, girl, you fainted. They should, like, someone should have said, hey, like, I found this purse. Do you think it's the fainted girl's purse? Like, I don't believe the story at all that happened. I think she said it just to make me feel bad. And then she said the $500 payments because she gets her disability check for being in the military. I guess she was trying to say she's discharged for that. And I was like, okay, $500 a month, then it'll be paid off by November. The first payment comes around. She goes, okay, here's my she sent StyleLend the new debit card. And then she said, I can only afford $250 a month. So that means that this Chanel it'll be 20 months before the $5,500 is paid back, which, you know, Chanel is I can't even buy a Chanel for that price at that particular time. So I am planning on replacing it, but I don't know what I'm going to get yet. It's a little too soon. I'm not ready for that. I've only gotten one payment so far. I'm supposed to be getting another payment here shortly. of another $250. So then I'll have $500 so far. I'm really hoping that I at least get the $1,000 that I put into it. I guess that's how I'm looking at it, is I only spent $1,000 on it. And yes, it sucks, but for me, it's more than the item. You have bad business decisions. You have decisions that go wrong and relationships that go wrong. And when this happens, I just expected Styleland to handle it differently. And the reason I left the renting with Styleland is because they did not handle it well. I didn't like that they didn't have my interests at heart. They don't have the lender's interest at heart. They didn't worry about protecting me. They changed things without letting me know. Send an email. Our terms and conditions are changing. You might need to have some kind of insurance. Let me help you find that insurance. They did not do anything like that. And after this happened, I sent them a message saying like how hurt I was, that you just have to be honest. I said, you have to be transparent. The whole thing that makes this work, I always would tell them, I would give them advice, is that you've got to have the trust. It's really hard for lenders like me to trust perfect strangers with my items. And also you have these strangers that are trying to rent these luxury pieces. They have to trust that they're actually authentic. Like, how are they to know that the item is going to be described and they're going to pay that money and something is actually going to be sent to them? Like, there is trust that needs to be involved. So that was the part that really upset me about the whole thing. And now let's get to the conclusion. I've received one payment. I'm hoping to get payments for this. I am planning on replacing my Chanel at some point. I'm just not sure if I'm just gonna go with the classic flap or I'll just get something different. And have I decided to stop renting for good? And no, I have not. I actually found a new company. I'm not promoting them or anything yet. They are called Toolery. However, I've just been using them for about a month now. I found them from Google searches. And why I decided to rent with them is because they're a closed platform. So yes, I'm not gonna probably make as much money as I made with Styleland, because Styleland was open to the whole public. Yes, you had to fill out information, do your ID and all this stuff, but this you actually have to go through a special interview. So whether you're a lender or a renter, you have to go through a video interview completely. Whereas for me as a lender, I did the video interview with Styleland, but this is anybody. So it's really hard for scammers to be a part of this platform. So you can't even look at any of the items that are on this app until you've been approved. So you have to fill out all the information. You have to verify your identity. I had to verify, like I even had to put some bank information in there because I'm going to be getting payment through there. I had to do like a video interview and I asked them a bajillion questions and asked them like, what if something happens to my piece? Like what happens? Do you guys cover that? And they said, no, we do not cover that. She goes, if something happens, she goes, we've never had a problem without there being a resolution with something, but you do risk, like if someone loses your piece, we expect them to pay for it and use their credit card. But if they don't, then there is nothing we can do, but we've never had that problem because the platform is just so tight. And most of the people are having items on that platform. So for me, when I was running through Styleland, people renting for me weren't necessarily on the platform renting either. They were people that couldn't afford the pieces. They were people that couldn't buy them outright, which I didn't quite understand that at first. I thought it was people like me that just wanted to try new things because I do like to rent from Rent the Runway, but that wasn't the case. These were people that couldn't afford to replace the items had they had them. Whereas Toolery are people that can afford to replace the items because they have items of their own that they are lending out. And what they do is they can use it as a site credit. So I think that's what some people do on there. Is actually one of my first rentals that I got was from I don't want to give her name out and give her information, but she is a beauty queen because I looked her up just to make sure, because she wanted to rent a handbag of mine. And so I decided I want to look her up. Am I going to ask for a deposit, all this stuff? And I looked her up and found all her, like she has a beautiful closet with some amazing rental items. And she had a unique enough name that I was able to find her on Instagram. And here she is, a beauty queen. So I was like, that's kind of cool. Like those are the kind of people that are on this site, is actually people that can afford to replace the item or have items of their own. They rent them out, then they use the credit and they rent other things out because she's someone that has to be in the limelight. She's getting photographed all the time. You want to have a new outfit. So it's perfect for her because she can just go and rent something for my closet and rent her stuff out, use that money, rent something from my closet, and she always has fresh, new, high fashion items. I really like this platform so far. It's more user-friendly. The people seem like they're the same, and I like the transparency. So obviously I'm going to be careful. I'm not going to have super expensive things on there. If I do choose to rent out something that is expensive, then I can ask for a deposit. She goes, some people ask for the full amount of the bag. She's like, we've had people that wanted to rent out a Chanel and they ask for the full amount to be charged to their credit card, and then they get reimbursed once the item hits back. And if they don't have enough money on their credit card to afford to pay for said piece, then you don't have to send it out. Like, I have some leeway in deciding what I do with that. So that is nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm not gonna be making as much money, but I feel like it's safer, and I feel like I'm gonna be making more luxury friends on there. So yeah, I'll have that link down below. You do have to fill stuff out. You do have to get approved if you want to be on the platform. But once I've been on there, again, I like to give things like 6 months to a year before I give them like a proper review. I just want to see how things go in general. But so far, I like it. I love the concept. But this is just a story about how you think you know people, you think you know companies, but at the end of the day, the companies are going to do what's best for them and not necessarily for the individual person that you think they're serving, whether you know them personally or not. And you kind of just have to know when it's time to let a relationship go. Even though I care for the family, I do care for them as individual people. I've cut that ties. I no longer talk to them, and I no longer deal with that platform just because it's just not for me. I didn't like how things were handled, and I don't like how it wasn't what I thought it was, and I need a little bit more transparency, and I just want people to be honest with me always. Even if it's not something I like to hear, tell me your honest thing so I can protect myself. So guys, that is the long video of how my Chanel was lost. So what do you guys think? Do you think she sold it? Do you think that it just got stolen like I do? And the story was just like crazy, made up, like Oscar-worthy performance? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, would you rent out your items? If you knew you were gonna make over $7,000 in a year, would you risk a Chanel? Because technically I'm still on top based on what the price of the Chanel is. I didn't lose money doing this. So let me know in the comments down below. And as always, I wanna thank you so much for watching and hope to see you again. Bye guys.